Bienvenidos al segundo episodio de Ébano Project.
In this episode, we have as our guest the British Hodl. He's a YouTuber and investor that talks specifically about Bitcoin.
En estos dos episodios hablamos bastantes temas como su carrera, sus negocios.
We even talk about God, spirituality, mushrooms, and a lot of subjects that are important for you guys to know.
Así que quédense hasta el final de estos dos episodios para que puedan aprender más sobre todos los temas que hablamos en él.
If you like the episode, don't forget to share, don't forget to like it, and subscribe to our channel. This is the British Hodl episode. So this is a beautiful way to start it. We started with a pretty good, I'm not going to say the brand, but pretty good cigar. British Hodl, how are you, my man?
We already rolling?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We're already rolling.
Thank you for having me.
We already have one.
This is very, very professional.
You already know.
Yeah.
This is very
This is
professional.
Am I speaking close enough to the microphone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sure? I would tell you if you're wearing, bro. So we already did one as a practice. We already talked to as a practice. We talk about a bunch of things, but in this one, I want to be a little more organized because I think there's a great message that we can deliver to all of our people. Mainly, you know that this is gonna be mainly Spanish, so we're gonna have the subtitles and
Mi
everything.
español está muy malo, entonces lo siento.
That's why. So, para las personas que saben que vamos a hacerlo en inglés, es culpa de British Hodl, no sabe absolutamente nada de español, solamente para conseguir a la madre de sus hijos. So, who are you, brother? Let us know a little bit about your life.
That's a deep question. Where do you start? Where do you even start with that? I don't even know.
Your name, what you do.
Well, everyone on YouTube now knows me as British Hodl, and my background is investing. I started for working when I was 16 with my dad. He was in real estate, and one day he was negotiating a property deal, and I was standing watching him, and I was always a little bit arrogant when I was younger.
Not for real?
It's completely changed right
For
now.
real?
It's completely changed.
Completely.
Yeah, I had
No
a
ego.
spiritual awakening.
No ego at all.
Zero. And, you know, he finished negotiating this deal. He put down the phone, looked at me. I was smirking at him. He said, "What are you smirking for?" And I said, "That looks easy."
So you were 16, right?
15 at the time.
15.
And your
Yeah.
dad, how long he has been doing?
Oh, 20, 30 years at the time.
So double your age.
Double my age of experience.
and
Think
you're
about
saying
that.
to him,
That
"Oh,
looks
this is easy." Oh.
And I guess the beautiful thing about it is that he didn't, like most people, forget parents, most people, if you told them that, they'd be like, "Get out of here. Like, what are you talking about? You're talking shit." He didn't say that. He said, "Show me.
Show me. That was
Show
his-
me. Yeah.
Exactly.
Show me. Show me that it's that easy." And I've used that line on so many people in my life now. It's unbelievable. So, but yeah, I just had to figure
Yeah, I
it
know.
out.
You told me that with Ébano. Show me. Don't talk. Show me. Do.
Yeah, it's like, but that's what works. It brings out the part of you that you need to bring out, and it did for me at the time. Even though now I know it logically as to like what was going on, but back then I was just reacting.
Yep.
And so yeah, like I had to figure it out. I had to learn what a mortgage broker was, what a lawyer was, how to structure a deal. Why does somebody build apartments? Like, who do they sell them to? Who buys them? Why do they buy them? All this stuff. So I had to figure that out.
So we could say that was like the start of your first job, right? Basically.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had a job
Yeah.
ever in my life. Even that one, I was on commissions. So my dad wasn't paying me. Once I figured out how to negotiate these deals, my dad wasn't paying me for anything besides a deal that was like done. Like I was getting commissions for the stuff that I did and nothing else. And so that took me from, zero to understanding real estate quickly. And then just learning about investing. I met some really good people in my life, some right people in my life. And then, just one thing leads to another.
So job is the wrong word to use, but that was when you started making money.
Yes.
That was the first thing you
I mean,
ever did.
it was worse than a job. A job starts at 9 a.m., finishes at 5.
You work all day.
until you win. Like, you know, it's just there's no stop. Like,
So what was the big, because you, in the past that we talk about, we talked that your parents weren't rich when you would grow up. So when you start doing what your parent was doing, you were thinking that was gonna take you to be rich. Like you were thinking, okay, this is gonna take me to where I want to be, or it was just like a start.
No, it was a challenge. Like most things in my life have been pursuing the opportunity to say I was right. I learned that afterwards, but really that's what it was. Like learning to negotiate property deals was pursuing the opportunity to say to my dad that I was right, that's easy. Right?
So it was a challenge.
Yeah, setting up an education business and doing that at a young age was pursuing the opportunity to say, hey, I could do that. Because when I started, you know, speaking and educating and this, that, and the other, it was because I went to a seminar by a guy named Mark, and, you know, I was making $60,000 a year. And
By the age of what?
Like 18.
60,000. For people who don't understand, that's like right now, I don't want to mention how much it is in pesos, but not even the richest people here do that make that money. So that's a really big accomplishment to be 18 and be doing that money.
Yeah, but I didn't feel it.
Yeah.
Right? Because it wasn't about the money. It was about the opportunity to say I was right. So then I met this guy, Mark, and I was attending one of these seminars. You guys have seen these seminars, right? Where people are like, there's like 1,000 people in the room. There's a bunch of people on stage. And at the end of it, they tell you, hey, go buy this shit, et cetera, right?
That it looks like a Ponzi or
He's been there. He's been there.
Yeah.
Right. So I attended one of those with my dad because my dad said, hey, we got to go to this thing. And I was like, why do I need to go and learn from these morons when I'm doing what I'm doing? I thought at 18, you think 60 grand a year is like all the money in the world. So, you know, so I went to this thing. I was sitting right at the back, the last line, the last row at the back. And I went to go speak to the guy who was organizing the event. His name's Mark Anastasi. And I spoke to him, and he looked at he heard what I was doing, and he goes, you need to be on stage. Like, I don't know why you're not on stage. And I was just like, yeah, I don't want to do that. He said, how about this? How about you watch me? I'm about to go on next. You watch me, and then we'll talk. For something, like, I don't know what it was. Like, you know, you can just tell when you meet someone, like, what triggers them.
Yep.
And he just knew that what was going to trigger me was seeing the result. Like, nothing else. I didn't have a desire to be on stage. I didn't have a desire to be famous. I don't care about that. But seeing the result was going to trigger me. So that's what I did. I sat at the back of that line, and I watched 200 people run to the back to give this guy 1,000 each.
Oh.
He made 200,000 in 90 minutes. And by the way, I ended up being one of those people because I was like, I got to learn from this guy. So 200,000 approximately in 90 minutes. And I turned to my dad, who was sitting to my left, and I said, I could do that. And then from that day, it was like pursuing the opportunity to say I was right about that. And then it was the stock market. And then it was gold, you know? And then it was Bitcoin.
So for you, it came super early. Like for people normally, when they want to get challenged or when they want to do something to prove someone wrong, that gets like 18 or something like that. For you, that it got super early, like, I don't think that was the first time. That was the first time being a big thing, like when you were 15 and you told that to your dad. But you were like that your whole life with everything you were doing. I don't know, when you were playing the playground, you were trying to like prove everyone wrong.
I don't know. I don't actually know. I never even thought about that. I don't think so. I think it was more that was a spark. It was always there. Like there was anyone who does anything great, I don't know whether they'll admit it or not, but there's a part of your mind where you're just like, I'm better than other people.
Yep.
Like, if you don't believe that, then no one else is going to. There's enough people out here telling you you're shit. So you have to be the one first that says, I'm better than everyone around me. And I always had that. I always had that to a certain extent. And I guess my dad saying that to me sparked that in a way that I could actually channel it, and it means something. Because a lot of young people are getting challenged, but in things that don't mean anything in the long run. Like a lot of young people will talk about, you know, playing sports in high school and this, that, and yeah, that's great. But is it actually going to mean anything when you're 40?
Yeah. Unless you became a professional
Yeah, what's the
sportsman.
chances of that?
Yeah. Unless you do that, there's not gonna be a real challenge for real life.
Yeah.
So in general, because I was trying to get to this point, is like your motivation was never to be successful or rich. Like that wasn't when you were growing up. You were thinking about money or not that much.
No, success is important, and money is important, but money is a representation of I was right. For me.
So that's a deeper thought that you had.
It's not, it's money for me is not about like, oh, I get to do this, that, and the other. I get to drive this car and this, that, and the other. I've never been like that. I like watches, but I've never been a car guy. I've had nice cars, but I've never been a car guy. It's so, we all have the triggers of what you're going to spend the money on, but for me, I was fucking right.
Okay. So as I knew, I got some questions, but you solved them all in that moment.
Well, that's the end of the podcast.
That was the first one. So I have a question because I know that you proved yourself right when you were growing up.
I had what?
You proved yourself right when you were growing up.
I'm still doing it.
Yep, you're still doing it.
How many conversations did me and you have when we were training? And I was, I'm gonna have the fastest growing Bitcoin channel
before you ever even started.
Right.
Before you ever even started. Yeah, you told me that. But what would you tell your younger self right now if you're sitting down with you? Imagine I'm your younger self right now. What would you say to him?
Damn, you're way more attractive than when I was that age.
Well, thank you, bro. You know.
So, what would I tell my younger self? I don't know. I would probably tell my younger self to focus on health as much as I was focused on money and success, because I think I did the money and success part right overall. Mm-hmm. But I would probably tell like we all have our challenges. You work certain things out first, you work other things out later. And so I would probably try and lean my younger self towards the same level of intensity, but in more than one thing.
Yeah. You think that would
tell him that? I'll probably tell my younger self that you're more capable than you think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think that would be possible? It is possible to be as driven you were to business and making money and being successful. At the same time, you will be able to be as driven with your health, taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Because would it be the nutrition, would be doing exercise, wouldn't be like changes your whole life, just taking in consideration a lot of things that you were doing wrong.
Yeah. It's one of the benefits that money gives you, which I know now, is that you can pay people to think for you. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I pay people to think for me about the things that I don't want to think about so that I can focus on thinking about the things that I want to think about. That's what money at this point gives me. If I want to understand how corporate law is changing in America, I pay my lawyer to tell me. He does the thinking, right? And I pay him to do that. If I want to think about how I can box better, I pay you to do that thinking, and I just show up, right? If I want to learn how I can handle my nutrition better, like I just got a nutritionist, right? So it's like I pay her to do that thinking. So that's what money is for me. It's like if I want now at this point, and even back then, I got to figure out like what's important, and then who can I pay to think about that for me and just show up, and that takes care of a lot of problems.
So that comes now because you have the means, you have the money to pay for people. But as we that's our main goal of this podcast, to take people that are young and to teach them how they can get there now that they don't have the means, because you already know that there's a lot of people, or mostly main of everyone here is difficult for them to be able to have nutritionists, to have a trainer. Even me right now, it's difficult for me being a professional fighter. So again, I'm your younger self. You don't have the means.
But that's different situation, right? Because for you, you're focused on fighting. So that's your priority, which means your thinking has to be involved in that. So if I was talking to someone whose main thinking is going to be in how to make money, then I would tell them, like, okay, if you're young, you have two resources, right? You either have time or you have money. Everything else is not a resource. You got time or you got money. So if you don't have money, guess what? You got to use your time.
You got to use your time.
And you use your time until you have the money to pay someone else for their time. That's it. There's no easy way around it. Too many young kids nowadays want like the easy hack. You either have time or you have money. When I was younger negotiating property deals, I did not have money. Therefore, I needed time. So from morning to evening, I was learning about property. learning how to talk to lawyers, listening to my dad talk to mortgage brokers, understanding what an interest rate was, understanding how mortgage deals are structured. That's what I was doing because I didn't have the money to go pay someone to tell me what to do.
Yep.
I was blessed because I had my dad. So if I had any questions, I could ask him questions. But now you have YouTube. I didn't have fucking YouTube.
Yep.
Like,
It's true.
we didn't have any of this.
It's true.
So now it's even easier. You got a question, how does a mortgage work? Type it into YouTube. Forget YouTube. You got ChatGPT.
Even
You got
crazy.
ChatGPT now, so you don't even need to pay anyone to think for you. I was reading a book on nutrition, and I was like, I can't be bothered to read this. So I uploaded the PDF of the book into ChatGPT, and I said, summarize the key points of this book. And in 30 seconds, I had a summary of all the key points. And I was like, right, so this is my height, this is this, that, and the other. Create me a nutrition plan based on the recommendations of this book. Boom.
It's easy.
And you know what's crazy? It was like within 5% of what the paid-for nutritionist created. Like all the macros were within 5% of what the paid-for nutritionist created. That was on ChatGPT in 5 minutes. I didn't read the book.
That's something to think about.
So you have, like, you guys now are like, it's even crazier. Like, you guys have so many tools now. You could tell ChatGPT, you could take a fight book, for example, tell ChatGPT to read that and tell you, and ask it questions. The problem is young people are not good at asking questions. Like, I want to know, like, for example, we were talking about chess the other day, right? And you said you want to learn and whatever. I said, the way that I would do it is go, okay, so the last 50 years of grandmasters, were they playing defensively or offensively? And then I would go figure that out, and then basically go 80-20, right? So what is the 20% of thing that I can do to give me the 80% of the results? Because I don't, for example, with boxing, I told you, I don't want to be a professional fighter. I don't need to be. Yep. So I just got to make sure I get the 20% right that gives me 80% of the results, and we're good. That's all it is. For most people, that's really all you need.
So you touched on something that I wanna really go deep in it, because I think it's important for people to know. So you think when you were young, you were able to do the right questions?
No.
So again, being me, your younger self, how would you recommend a young guy to be like, hey, this is the way that you can start knowing how to ask the right questions?
Yeah. So first step is understanding that you're not gonna reinvent the world.
Yep.
The world, for most people, the world is the way it is. Even Mark Zuckerberg didn't reinvent the world with Facebook. He micro adapted each opportunity until he struck Facebook. Right? So you're not going to reinvent the world. Trying to think that you know what to do better than anyone else, other people are old, other people are this, that, and the other, is not going to help you. The best people that I had around me were older people when I was younger, because they just told me this is how it works. Okay, well, if that's how it works, I'm just going to do that, but slightly better. That's it. It's really not hard. There's no real secret to it. It's just you got to do it forever. If anything, that's the secret. How do you do it forever? How do you do the work you need to do that you're sure is going to get you the result forever? I knew that if I negotiated enough property deals, spoke to enough people, I would strike on a deal that somebody wanted to buy.
Yep.
So now I had the advantage as when I was younger, because I didn't have a mortgage, I didn't have a wife, I didn't have kids, I didn't have any of that pressure to have to do a deal. Which means if somebody didn't want to do the deal that way that I wanted to do it, I could walk away. That was a huge advantage. So now I can negotiate 100 deals while someone else is sitting there, 40, got kids, got a mortgage, things that they're responsible for, and now they're dependent on every person saying yes. I didn't have that. It's just like, okay, who wants to do a deal? This is what I'm looking for.
So what I would love to know, I don't know if you have any questions. No? So good.
Not yet.
What I would love to know is, okay, so we have the money, we have the health, you're taking care of your health. What do you think is missing in your life?
Relationship and the forward momentum towards children. Yeah, I wanted to get to a certain point in my life where I had enough wealth, where I felt safe, because that was my driving trigger, like wanting to feel safe when it comes to wealth. But I get to this point and I realize that I probably could have just done it without getting to here, because I would have got here anyway. probably would have got here a lot faster.
You think so?
Yeah, because like
With a family.
Yeah, once you have kids, it's like all the
and forth.
distractions go out the window. You know?
Yeah, I understand what distraction you're talking about.
Yeah.
So you think you were? It will be better if you would have done it before, but now that is not like that. You think now you're looking for that. You wanna have family.
Yeah, I had to learn certain things in my last 2 relationships. And now I'm getting to the point where I believe, learned those things. And so now I can analyze each situation in a more balanced way and be okay with it not working out or it working out.
So I love to ask about this question, and I truly wanted to get to this point because a lot of our young people in Colombia, mainly, I show you. I was talking to you about a news that I saw when they said it's been the worst or the less people newborn since like 10 years ago. There's a lot of less kids being born. And I was seeing that everyone was happy about it. Everyone was like, yeah, that's so good. The kids are not getting born. People are not forming families or whatever. And I grew up, so just to share a personal story, I grew up with that mindset of I don't want any kids.
Yep.
So I had a childhood where it was a little traumatic, had weird relationship with my parents. And in my mind, I was like, I don't want any kids. And I was afraid of kids. Like when I was growing up, I think I was jealous because every time I was with a kid and I was gonna be like loving to him or whatever, I thought, but they weren't loving to me when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. So I had like the jealousy. And then when I started growing up and then I met the right girl and my now wife Juliana, I met her, and then I started thinking about kids, and I was like, I thought I will never marry once, or 2, I will never have kids. That was my mental thought my whole life. I was like, I was against that my whole life. So now that I'm 25, I'm just dreaming about having kids.
Yeah, I see your face every time we see babies,
bro. Every time. I truly.
He's thinking about it a lot.
I post today like 10 times about it, and like I'm asking people if I'm right now to be a dad. So I think it's important to start getting those values back, because now even in Colombia, in all parts of the world, people think that that's bad. Forming a family is bad. Marrying is bad.
Yeah, but it's really the incentives. So as an investor, I've been trained over the last 18, 19 years of business to seek and understand incentive structures. And the world is not set up in a way that incentivizes traditional values and family. So therefore, we don't get that result. There's one country in Europe right now, and it's Hungary, it's called. And they made a change because they realized that this is a problem. And so a few years ago, they said if a woman has 4 children, she no longer pays income tax ever again in her life.
Yep.
So guess what? Hungary is the only country in Europe where the birth rate is going up because the incentives are now aligned. And so we don't have that. The majority of the world doesn't have that incentive structure, but we will, because there is a demographic emergency coming.
So for our young people, why is important to have kids? Why is it important to have those traditional values?
I can't answer that question for everyone.
For you.
For me,
why you think it's important for the world or for you?
Yeah, I think, when I think a friend, mentor of mine asked me a really good question like maybe 6 months ago, and I've asked you this as well, and it was like, what do you want? Because everyone thinks about, what do I want for the next 5 years? What do I want for, the next stage of my life? And he said, what do you want your last 10 years on life, on Earth to look like? And I thought about it, and I was like, do I want to be building businesses and this, that, and the other? Yeah, okay, but by then, it's just going to be so automatic that it's not going to be fulfilling. And so it took me 3 weeks to think about it. And my ideal last 10 years is what the Rothschild built. That's what they built, right? He had 10 children. And of course, I'm not talking about having 10 children. But he had 10 children and 5 boys, 5 girls. And he put, from what I understand, 5 of them, the boys, they were responsible for creating wealth. they were responsible for expanding the empire. And the girls were responsible for, once the wealth was generated, nurturing that wealth. So the guys would go out, and he put them in different cities in Europe, right? It had a banking empire. Started from nothing, had a banking empire, put them in different cities in Europe. And their job was to expand that empire all over Europe, which they did successfully. And the girls then, once the money was brought in, they would decide what art to buy, what houses to buy, what estates to buy, what vineyards to buy, etc., etc. So I like that. I like the idea of having 3 to 5 children planted in different amazing cities around the world with one focused agenda. And that's the one mistake, not even mistake, that's the one thing I did not have, which is someone in my family years ago dictating, like, this is what it means to belong to this last name. This is what this means. This is what you focus on. And I didn't have that. So I would like to create that. I would like to have 3 to 5 children, something like that, in different amazing cities in the world. Blackmail them and brainwash them to also have 3 to 5 kids each. And then, you know, fly around the world, like spend a month and a half, 2 months in each city, hanging out with my kids and grandchildren, going to my favorite cigar lounges in those cities, building networks, building connections, flying around with my wife and my dog. Like, what else? What else more fun than that?
That's an interesting story about the dog. We need to share that story about you, how you hated dogs growing up.
No, I didn't hate them. They hated me.
Oh, yeah.
I was terrified.
You were terrified.
And funnily enough, they didn't actually hate me. They loved me, but I couldn't understand what the dog was trying to tell me, so therefore I translated it as hate. So, yeah, I mean, now I love dogs.
I love dogs. The same way you see me with kids, I see you with dogs.
Right.
You love them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do a question that I think that is connected to the last question, like children and stuff like that. So what's the importance of masculinity in these times? So what do you think about masculinity and what is important?
You know, there's an interesting study done by this doctor, professor, and he basically analyzed all of human DNA. And here, the thing is this: everyone has the right to decide whatever they want to decide for their life. I am going to live my life the way that I have decided and judged after reading all of the data and deciding what is right for me. And everyone should have the responsibility to do that for themselves. So this study that I read, it was quite fascinating. Basically, something like 85, don't quote me on a study, but something like 85 to 95% of women that have ever been born in humanity, so not America, not Colombia, not UK, humanity, ever, that could have children, had children. But only about 40% of men have. So what that tells you is throughout human history, 60% of men have been absolutely useless. And have been for the purpose of reproduction, right? And for the purpose of moving humanity forward, have been useless in that one point. No. And so then you go, okay, so really I think the message that men need to be told is not that masculinity is important, is that you have the majority chance, the majority probability of a man's life is you fading into the darkness with no value, no meaning, nothing. And how does that make you feel?
So what percentage of the mans you want to be? The 60 or the 40%?
Right. And here's the thing. You got to work hard just to get into the 40%. And now you want to be what? Top 10% of 40%? So really, out of all the men out there, you're looking to be top 4%.
4%.
Right? Because if you want to be top 10% of 40, that's 4%. So out of all the men, you're trying to be top 4%, not top 10%.
Out of all humanity,
yeah,
we're talking about.
Out of all humanity.
Not even country.
So then the question is, what does that mean, right? And of course, this study was strictly only done on reproduction.
Yep.
And there's many men out there who are not successful, who don't have any sense of responsibility,
yep,
but they have 15 kids.
Yep. I just saw like 3 coming here.
So it's like, what does that mean to you, right? So obviously the reproduction part is important. I think it's important to have your last name mean something as a man. I think it's important to understand that your job in life is to make an impact somehow. Whatever that is. There's all police officers making an impact. There's lawyers making an impact. There's doctors making an impact. There's entrepreneurs making an impact. There's investors making an impact. Fighters making an impact, right? Models making an impact. Like, just pick what you want to do to make an impact and get into the top 10% of that category. And what is that going to take?
Love that message. You have another question?
Yep. But
Did I answer that question? I don't know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Perfect.
And what about cigars, bro? Why
What about
we are
cigars?
smoking cigars? What are beautiful cigars too? Why? Why you love this?
When did it start?
Yeah.
So, I was 18 years old sharing an office with a friend of mine from Jamaica, living in the UK in real estate, and his name is Ryan. He currently lives in Dubai.
Shout out, Ryan.
Shout out Ryan. And one day he blasted into our office and said, "Yo, there's a cigar lounge just opened up. You want to go check it out?" And I was like, "I don't know." He goes, "You ever smoked a cigar?" I was like, "No, but it looks cool in the movies. So let's go." And so we went, and I smoked my very first Cuban cigar, my first cigar ever, not let alone Cuban.
What was it? You remember?
It was a Monte Cristo Regata. They still make it to this day.
Yeah.
And I smoked that, and afterwards what I realized was that me and him had been sharing offices for like a year and a half at that point. But in that 2 hours where we had a whiskey when I used to drink and a cigar, we shared more about each other's life and future goals and this, that, and the other, and felt more connected than we had ever done in the year and a half of sharing an office together. And so a cigar to me represents connection, time to connect, whether it's with myself or whether it's with other people, other friends, or whether it's with a new friend, whatever it is. But that's what it represents to me. Now, I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. I don't smoke marijuana. I don't smoke anything else. I smoke cigars. I love cigars. And I think that there's something very, very spiritual about cigars. I don't know what it is. Right now, everyone's doing it to act cool.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something very deep about tobacco.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that I wanted to touch on that little subject just for a minute, just like a little parenthesis. But I wanted to say that there's a lot of people right now that just do it for the photo. They literally don't understand why they're doing it. They just follow the trend. But just so you know, I started this because of you, because I was training you, you started showing me about this world, and I truly can say that what you just say is what it means for almost everyone.
Yep.
Because and I want to share this, because just when we go to any cigar lounges, if we go to a coffee shop, and we have gone together to coffee shop, we have gone together to coffee shop, nobody's talking to anyone. They just go with the people they go, or they're just working. Like people don't get a connection when they go to restaurants, when they go to even libraries, whatever type of environment they are, they don't talk to each other. But the first time you ever took me to a cigar lounge, the guy next to us was talking to us, the owner was talking to us, these people were talking to us, and nobody felt weird about it. Like, it wasn't a place where someone interrupted our conversation. We were like, why are you talking to me right now? We were just, like, it's like a unwritten rule. You need to connect with everyone.
Yeah, like cigar smokers are a very, very unique breed of people. And we understand that we're hated by a lot of people that don't understand the finer things of life.
Yep.
So when you go into a cigar lounge, it doesn't matter what cigar you got, whether you're smoking a $5 cigar like they have in America, or whether you're smoking a 1,000-pound cigar like they have in London. If you're smoking a cigar, you're smoking a cigar. And you're part of the club. You're part of the family, right?
Bro, the thing is, I was talking with a girl about the spiritual part about cigars, and she told me something really important. Yes, if you go to the witch, they're gonna read your tobacco, right? So this,
Wait, there's people that read your tobacco?
yeah,
Yeah.
Can you guys introduce me? Because
yeah. I have the girl.
you
bro.
have the girl that does that?
So
That's the girl that he's
so
talking about.
she told me,
What did she tell you about your tobacco?
no, I can't say that, bro.
That's a
I
secret.
can't say it, but
He was gonna be a serial killer.
yeah. But the thing is, the tobacco's name in the spiritual world is master. This is your master. This can show you everything. When you smoke, you feel like you are. What's the name of that feel?
What would you consider the name of the film?
Because it's not high. You don't get
Yeah,
high.
you don't get
Exactly, it's not high.
It's a sense of relaxation.
Yeah, it's something that you feel for 40 seconds,
Right.
50 seconds, right?
Right.
That is the trip that tells you everything.
Interesting.
Right?
So we're tripping right
Yeah.
now.
We're
tripping right now, bro.
I had no idea.
So why the presidents use this after or before? I don't know
Like a
what's the
meeting
name
or a conference?
Yeah, meeting or conference or.
Well, I wish more presidents actually smoke cigars because they don't know.
The world will be better.
Can you imagine how much the better the world would be if presidents, like, before they started their bullshit, you just got to sit down and everyone smoke a cigar
think
together?
about it.
Yeah.
Just no politics talk, nothing. Just sit down, smoke a cigar together, and then we'll discuss stuff. If I was the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, anyone who wanted to come and have a meeting with me, mandatory requirement, we're going to smoke a cigar first.
Bro, that would be
I
the
don't care
best.
whether you smoke.
Yeah.
I don't care whether you have asthma. I don't care what
Yeah.
you got. You're missing a lung. I don't care. We're
Eh.
going to smoke a cigar first, and then we're going to do something.
And you know what? This is important because this gives you something like ¿cómo se le puede decir? El don de la palabra o el poder.
Gift of word.
Gift of word.
The gift of the word.
This gives you the gift of the word. So that's the
Wow.
thing. That's the spiritual thing.
I need to speak to the cigar
Yeah,
witch.
you have
Yeah,
to.
bro.
You have to.
You have to.
I need to speak to her. I don't
But I
know who
truly
this
think
is.
The problem that is she doesn't talk any fucking word of English.
I'll figure it out. I want to
Okay,
speak to
yeah.
her. I'll take
I'm
a
the
translator.
translator, bro. Come on.
Done.
So with that in mind, because we talk a lot about coffee, now we have to the audience, we talk about a new thing that is cigars.
I do like the marketing you have here, considering the label is facing me and not the camera.
Yeah.
I think that, yeah. There you go. See, I got you.
Bro, sometimes I'm dumb.
I
Sorry.
got you, bro.
Sorry, bro. Sometimes I'm too dumb. But what I want to say is, myself. I'm in a fight. Not a fight. Let's say it like that. Fuck it. I'm in a fight against alcohol because you already know. I already told you that means there's a deep connection, bad connection with alcohol in my family. So I truly think it's the devil, right? So we talk about in the last podcast that we talk about the bad things about alcohol, whatever. But now that that's not gonna come up, I would like us to talk about alcohol, not to be shitting on them or whatever. But I just want to know people, because we started with the coffee, now we talk about cigars. Why is promoted something that is so bad for you? Why is that promoted and not all of this that is so good for you?
You got to think about the incentives, right? At the end of the day, what are the everything? As an investor, I have to go back to incentives. My mind is very simple when I think about it. It's like, what is the incentive for me to sell alcohol versus anything else? So you can think about it, right? The reason why I stopped drinking alcohol last year was because I watched an Andrew Huberman podcast, and I sent that to you guys as well. And he talks. It's a 3-hour session on Andrew Huberman talking about every reason why alcohol is bad for you and what it does to you. And after watching that, I was like, do I love it that much to actually continue
fucked up my
doing this? So I stopped. And I feel better and whatever else. But why do they do it? Because what does alcohol do? It numbs you.
Yeah.
And it's better to have the populace live in a world where they are numb than open-minded.
Yeah.
Right? Because that serves the incentives better. Mm-hmm. If someone is just numb and what they do is they go earn and then they come home and they pay their mortgage and they go drink alcohol and they get numb so that they go earn and they come home, pay their mortgage, drink alcohol, go earn. That's the best way to run an empire.
To basically keep people's slave.
I don't even know. Like, yeah, but really,
Well, that's my opinion.
but that's your perspective,
Yeah.
right? That's your perspective. Is it really keeping people a slave, or is it just running an empire? I don't know.
It depends who you ask.
It's all about the incentives.
Yeah.
What is it? Show me the incentives, and I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. You show me the incentives tomorrow for women in Colombia to start having 5 children each, and within 5 years, especially in Colombia, because they have children very easily here. It's like, fertility is
The
high.
fertility here is
High, right? So you do that. You show me the incentives and watch what the population boom that happens in Colombia over 5 years. But the incentives aren't there. Every girl that I've spoken to, every woman that I've spoken to, every girl that I've spoken to here tells me that their doctor, by the time they're 12 years old, has given them contraceptive pills to take.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Every doctor. Oh, you got pimples? Cool. Take the contraceptive. Oh, you got slight acne? Take the contraceptive. Let's not worry about the fact that the diet's bad, or this is bad, or your sleep habits are bad, or whatever else is bad. Let's not talk about any of that. Let's not talk about the fact that the economic conditions are so bad that young women have to work 12, 13 hours a day and then travel an hour to and from those jobs in order to make $300, $400 a month. Let's not talk about that. Take the contraceptive pill. So show me the incentive and I'll show you the result.
Something to think about. I'm thinking about it right now. But it's going through my mind when you're saying that, because I think that's how we run the world. Even I think people know. I don't know if people know, but I used to smoke marijuana, and I do it pretty occasionally right now. It's just when I literally don't have anything to do and I just want to chill out for a little bit. But you think that in terms of incentives, that's like when I don't know, let's say the government, matrix, whatever you want to call it, when they start seeing the incentive of people, something similar like alcohol, because I've seen it in people with the weed.
Yeah.
How they get numb. Like, that's the word.
There's so many negative things to weed. It's unbelievable.
So you think it's the same case? Because it was banned for a while.
Yeah. Now it's legal.
But now it's legal.
Now everyone can smoke weed, especially in America.
Especially in America.
Right?
Here we can too.
Here, yeah. But especially in America, right? Especially all over Europe now. Everyone can smoke. You want to smoke weed? Smoke weed. Ask anyone about doing psilocybin mushrooms. That Johns Hopkins University has an entire university wing dedicated to researching the benefits of PTSD, alcoholism, all of this stuff on psilocybin mushrooms. But you want to do that? That's illegal.
Guess what? It's illegal.
You want to smoke marijuana, which has been proven to reduce your IQ points by 10 points if you smoke before your frontal cortex has been developed by the age of 25 for the permanence of your life. You can smoke marijuana. No problem.
But no psilocybin.
But psilocybin mushrooms, by the way, how many people have ever died by just taking psilocybin mushrooms?
Zero,
as far as I know.
Yep.
So I'm a fan of researching about this stuff and understanding, like, what is the mechanism. I'm at the point now where basically if my prime minister stood up and said, I want you to drink more water, I would drink less water to find out if it was beneficial.
That's how skeptical you are right now.
That's how skeptical I am of everything. Like, I would actually, if he said we need you to up it from 8 to 10 glasses a day, I'd go from 8 to 6 for 3 months and see if that was better.
So that's another thing I really want to touch on, because our main goal with this podcast, and we said it in the intro, and we're gonna keep saying it forever, is that we want to be a source of education where you have an unbiased position of a lot of stuff, right? That way, when we talk,
You're the first person that ever said that to me.
But when you talk about, like, when we are able to give a message that sometimes it doesn't get spread, like we just know by the way that the weed and alcohol is promoted, but how a young guy like me, right? How do I do the good? How do I go through a good research? So you go to these doctors, right? How do I get that information before I get all, like, let's say if I search in Google about psilocybin, I don't think the first thing that's gonna come up is great about it. Like, I don't think it's gonna be like, there's gonna be bad things. Of course, they're promoting it. So how do I take all the wrong information. How do I know which is right, which is wrong?
Yeah, that's what's tough.
Yeah.
That's the battle right now. The fight is in. See, there's two ways that you can win an information war. Either you restrict the information, or you completely cloud the information. Right? And unfortunately, with the internet, you can't restrict the information. When I was younger, and internet was just like sort of starting out, people figuring it out, I can restrict the information because if I just don't let that information come through schools, kids aren't going to get it. Right?
Yep.
Whereas now, I can go to school, call bullshit on whatever my teacher's telling me, go to ChatGPT while I'm sitting there and call bullshit on whatever the teacher's saying. So in that scenario, the best way to win that information war is just to cloud it with as much information as possible. Good luck.
Yep.
And now we have AI tools. So it's even worse because if you are a misinformation, if your purpose is to create misinformation, it's very easy now because people are getting to the point where whatever ChatGPT says is true. So now I can program the bot to basically give you a certain perspective on this. Like there's less people being born in the world, but the bot could tell you the perspective of that could be, but it's for the short term allowing us to create space for more people.
Bro, I have a question. Sorry.
But you get what I mean by that, right? So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bot can shift perspective. I don't even need to lie to you. I can just flood you with so much information and just confuse you.
So I need to tell you right now, you're sick. Oh, but that's good.
Right.
Because that means you're not going to be sick for a year.
Right.
So that's good. It's a
Right.
good thing to have. Yeah, I understand.
Bro, you saw the trailer of GTA 6?
The trailer.
What's that?
The
video
trailer,
game.
the video game.
The video game that everyone
Oh,
plays.
Grand Theft
GTA?
Auto.
No, I don't
GTA.
fucking play video games.
Yeah,
No,
but
but you saw the
you
trailer?
haven't seen
No.
even like small videos about it. Nothing.
Bro, it's fucked up. You have to watch it.
Yeah? Is that bad?
Yeah, that bad. Because, for example, there is like
I'm worried
like
now.
60 black people good and 10 white people bad in that one. So no, you have to watch it.
All
You
right.
have to watch it.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
hey,
good because it's exactly what we was talking about. Like you can program the people with the information, but if you are doing something that is going to be really fucking famous, you can program the people with that.
Absolutely.
Like even in the subconscious, you say, "Oh, but that's just a game."
Yeah,
Right? That's
exactly.
It's just a game.
It's just a game.
It's,
but
it's,
until
it's
it's not.
school, but it's like it's the same thing. It's school,
Yeah.
It's cool.
which means that parents are purposely elevating the people that are brainwashing their children against them.
Yeah, for sure.
It's school. You got to respect your teachers. What if the teacher's a fucking dumbass?
They're fucking rapists or pedophiles or a lot of things that they are.
But
sometimes.
forget all of that. What if they're just a dumbass? And you, as a parent, are now telling your children you got to put this person on a pedestal because they're a teacher.
Yeah.
That's the culture that we've grown up in.
Yeah.
And I think we got to get, as a young person, you have to get really good at calling out bullshit. If we had young people calling out bullshit, the world would change.
How?
Because imagine if you're in school and your teacher tells you, you know, it's okay at 5 years old to have 106 different genders. And you said, bullshit. What's the teacher going to do from that point?
Get
The only
spelled.
reason it works is because these young kids have been
Yes,
taught
sir.
that this is school, this is a teacher, so therefore what the teacher tells me, I have to trust.
It's something similar that the word that my mother told me always. Milk, me importa un culo.
Say that again?
Yeah. I don't give a shit.
I don't give a shit. My mother always told me that.
Yeah.
When I was a child, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Bullies, what they say, why they say in the school and stuff like that. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I have to research and build my own personality.
Yeah, your own identity.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
So we went through all this because I truly like, again, the main goal of this podcast is to educate people, to educate young guys that mainly from Latin America that we're missing a lot of this content. But at the end of the day, you're British Hodl, my man. We need to talk. This is one of the biggest important messages that we need to talk about. So, who is British Hodl? So why you decided to start this channel, this YouTube, British Hodl? Why you decided to spread Bitcoin message? Because we have a bad reputation about, not even bad, but a wrong reputation about Bitcoin. Just they get it connected as a crypto.
Scams.
Yeah, scams, all the things that the other crypto bullshit is done for Bitcoin. So why you decided to do spread this message?
I didn't do my YouTube channel for any young people. The purpose of my YouTube channel is for people like my parents. My parents, your parents, anyone who's watching this, probably their parents, if they have any amount of success in their life, any amount of property, any amount of business, any amount of success, what they did was they sacrificed for probably 35, 40 years to do the right thing. Earn money, pay the taxes, sometimes not pay the taxes, reinvest in property, take care of their children, go days without eating to take care of their children, put their children through school, all this other stuff, like my parents did. Yeah. My parents are immigrants. I'm Indian, right? But my dad, who's Indian, is from Africa, and my mom, who's Indian, is from India. Both immigrants to the United Kingdom for 40 years, did the right thing. Only to find out that after 40 years of doing the right thing, because of the way money works, that nobody's ever taught in school because they're too busy teaching them how many genders there are. The way money works, the value of their property should be 50% higher than it is to keep up with the amount of money printing that's been done. Because probably less than 200 people in the world control the decision around how much currency is printed. And if you don't have a grasp of what that is, well, now you're just going to do the right thing and we'll make you feel good and we'll just steal your wealth from underneath you by just printing more money.
Because you explained it to me once. It was beautiful how you put it. You explained to me and put it in a way where you getting your energy is not being correctly paid. So you're talking about your parents like 30, 40 years of their energy. And you just mentioned all the points that they did, like put you in school, work so hard to get you there. But their energy that they spend, it's not even like it's even half. Like they're not getting more as they should. They're getting less as they put in. So why Bitcoin? Well, like what does it do? Does Bitcoin in terms of the energy spent?
Well, the energy thing is interesting, right? Like, let's say that I go earn, or my parents went and earned the money, did the right thing, etc., and they get, say this glass is a battery, right? That's the size of the battery. And my parents are doing a good job, and the amount of coffee that's in there, that's the amount of energy that battery is storing right now. So that's how much energy is inside this battery. And then they get told, do the right thing, so that level of energy keeps going up. And just as it's about to hit the top of the full capacity of the glass expands. So now this glass is twice as big, but it's half full. So even though it looks like you have all of this energy stored in there, based on the capacity of the battery, it's only 50% full. So it might have been 90% full, and now it's gone down to 50% full. That's how currency works. If you go take a job and you earn Colombian pesos or dollars or whatever else you earn, there's probably 12 people in Colombia that decide how many more Colombian pesos are going to be printed.
Yep.
As soon as they click print, the capacity of your battery increases, but you don't get any more.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're stealing the percentage of control that you have. Because really your wealth is the percentage of the overall amount of Colombian pesos that you control. And if that percentage is not going up over time, then your wealth is going down.
And in terms of Bitcoin, what does Bitcoin do for my energy?
The unique thing about Bitcoin, because once you earn currency, your decision is about. You want me to keep talking? Yeah. The decision is about which battery do you put your energy into.
Uh-huh.
Because that's really the key, because you can't just keep it in Colombian pesos. Because if somebody else can decide, print some more, why do I want to keep my energy in 12 people's hands that have proven themselves to do something that's not in my best incentive? Mm-hmm. So then the choice is, what do you put it into? You got property, you got the stock market, you've got gold, right? Here I'm guessing it's more property, because
Yeah.
that's the stage at which this economy is at.
That's the first thing they do. They told you whenever you
Right.
have money out, buy a property.
Yeah. So that's the stage at which this economy is at. And most people in the world are in that stage. Anyone with a $500,000 to a $30 million net worth in the United States, majority of those people have majority of their wealth in real estate. And so the unique thing about Bitcoin is if you analyze all of those batteries, you analyze the battery of real estate, you analyze the battery of gold, you analyze the battery of the stock market, what you realize is that there's two levers that affect the quality and capacity of the battery. One of those levers is demand, and the other one of those levers is supply. Demand is if I want to buy some, how much demand is there for property? And the other lever, supply, is affected by government regulation, how many people there are to build the properties, do we have enough construction workers, how many companies want to build those properties, etc., etc. So you analyze all of those, and then you come to Bitcoin and you realize Bitcoin doesn't have a supply lever. It's programmed. Nobody can affect the supply lever of Bitcoin. It's 21 million.
Limited.
Max. The thing with property is, and the reason why my parents' property portfolio should be worth 50% more than it is because of the amount of pounds that have been printed. People adjusted the supply of the properties through government regulations. Like, you can't just go print real estate, basically, anywhere behind me. You can't do it. You have to go to the government. You say, I want to do this. They'll go take a look at it. There'll be a 2-year waiting period before, I don't know how it works here, but
it works exactly the same.
2-year waiting period before they say, okay, you can build there. If they say, okay, you can build there. And in the meantime, you got to pay people off. You got to do all this other stuff, right? You come to Bitcoin, you go, I want to print more Bitcoin. You can't do it.
Yep.
There's no bullshit in the way. And so then that starts asking you, like, okay, so what can affect Bitcoin? And then you realize it's only demand.
Yep.
And demand keeps going up for Bitcoin because it's going through an adoption phase right now. So more people are learning about Bitcoin. More people are coming to Bitcoin. So as the demand is going up and the supply just is fixed, every 4 years, the supply that's coming out being mined goes down by half, and until there's 21 million, and that's it. That starts to look like the most attractive battery. And that's the conversation that we're at right now in the world. And that's why I started my YouTube channel, because I need to help people like my parents who, like your parents, have done a good job, done the right thing, but now need to understand that if they want the legacy that they worked for to matter in 30 years, they need to adapt which battery they've been using, because they've been using the battery of real estate, but it's no longer sufficient.